Hello, welcome to Startup to Success. My name is Maria, and I'm so excited to welcome my guest, Lusine Galadjian, an Emmy-nominated celebrity makeup artist and founder of Faithful Beauty Academy and Studio Lusine. Lusine, welcome to my show. I'm so excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you so much, Maria. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, so as you know, this show is about entrepreneurship, and to me, you are one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs I've ever met because you are so creative and artistic. And honestly, like, I don't trust anyone with my face as much as I trust you. But it's not just, your makeup that's so inspiring. It's the journey, it's the career that you've had with, the entertainment industry, being nominated and, having the celebrity clientele. It's just so inspiring. And I'm so thrilled to have you on the show to hopefully inspire others who are makeup artists and are talented and would love to know what your journey was like throughout the last years,
Well, thank you, Maria. I'm equally actually inspired by you and also look up to you. I really appreciate that. My journey has been, it's been over 21 years since I've embarked on the makeup artistry journey. And it's funny because I look back to when I was even 12, my very first makeup session was with my cousin when I was 12. And that's only because we have documentation through a photograph. And I don't know how far back it goes. I mean, I remember being infatuated with makeup by watching my neighbor for the longest time. I believe I was 7 years old, and she said I would always watch her intently, like trying to figure out what she was doing. I always loved makeup, I remember. But yeah, my career has been since 2000. I've just been in the industry and I love it. It's just a passion that's been on my heart.
That's so cool. I know you've told me this story, and I would love for you to share the story with, just a few of your celebrity clients, how it just kind of worked out. And was there any secret to it? Was there anything specific that you did that you would advise others who are trying to get into the entertainment industry and have agents and sort of take that route? Is there anything you could share?
Well, as far as how to get into a career is what
yeah, because I feel like it's one thing to be a makeup artist and to have your own makeup line in your studio, but it's another thing. I feel like the entertainment industry is a whole different monster in itself that someone has to figure out and navigate through. And I just give you so much credit for managing to do that and be so successful in it. And so
well, thank you, Maria. As you know, times have changed since 21 years ago. To make it in the industry, you had to have a book. You had to have I believe it was a 16 by, it was huge. And this book would be sent to clients, and clients would then look at your work and book through, and we would FedEx them. So, I mean, times have changed with social media, with the way now with websites, then with photos being online. So, but I would say a key ingredient in the way that it was done before was through, obviously, in a completely different way. But the key ingredient is determination, is passion, and it's focus. It's focusing on what you want to do, being open to giving of your time and being humble. Being humble is so important because jobs will have come up before where it was a free job that no one would take, yet I decided to take it, and that led me to a paid job, a paid client that has been with me till today. So you never know where jobs come from. You have to be humble, you have to be open, you have to be open to learning. I've never stopped learning. That's something until today, even being a makeup artist for 21 years and people looking up to me, I still make it my mission to be open to what are the people doing today? What are the newest products? What are the newest techniques That's how I've been able to stay afloat, because a lot of makeup artists that work with me, that started with me, are no longer. That they still work for the production companies, but they've stayed in that old way of doing a makeup. I know this personally because clients that I've worked with have said the people that we've worked with for years still do the same makeup, and because they're kind of like, there's contracted to work with them, they'll use us for like red carpet events or things that they can book outside of, because I've managed to stay afloat with the newest trends, with the newest products, but still stay true to my vision and my way of doing makeup, which is just enhancing the beauty, enhancing your natural beauty without making you look caked up, without making you look covered up, and kind of find that middle ground between staying still true to you, but still being up in the game of what's new and what's trending right now.
I love that. And I think that's a conversation that's going to lead on to the next conversation, which I can't wait to hear more about, your latest venture, Faithful Beauty Academy. I want to learn more about that, because I think, knowing you over the past, 15 plus years, I've always appreciated the fact that you brought the beauty, you brought beauty outside rather than cake my face with a bunch of things and make me feel beautiful. And it was always somehow this confident, whether it was the compliments or whatever, that you also gave that positive energy, I call it, rather than, it's not necessarily words, but it's your touch, your magical touch that kind of comes with this positive energy that would just make me feel so beautiful after I would get my makeup done by you. But talk a little bit about Faithful Beauty and what inspired you to start that.
First off, hearing you say that, hearing your testimony, first of all, I have chills. And that is something that inspired me to do this, because so many women that I've worked with would tell me that same thing. You bring on this calmness to me. You bring on this like confidence, and when they leave, they leave this a little bit more confident that they come in. And I'm a big believer in, you can't just cover up what you feel inside with makeup. It's something that's deep within. And what is the definition of beauty? Who first just came up with even the definition of beauty? That was our creator. Our creator, the first in scripture, talks about how he created the trees for it to be visually pleasing for us, and it was good. That was a definition of true like beauty, which then he created man. And it's just something that exudes from God. And I feel like it's just been my heart for people. So I've always for the longest time just struggled with like, what can I do to help these women? What could I do besides just this temporary enhancing of their beauty? And it's just been on my heart to help them dive deeper into their inner beauty, into their identity. Because honestly, unless there's a book that was written by Brian Chan, and it's about faith and beauty, and I can't remember the exact name of the book, but he talks about how the identity of how we feel, if it doesn't match the outer, then we're not being authentic. To be your authentic self is not to cover up. There's so many things that are going on, whether it's from childhood, whether it was voices in our head that we were told certain things that we've allowed to become our own personal beliefs. And it's those things that I want to embark on and take those lives out, see ourselves, our true selves, in how our creator sees us, and then learn to enhance that very beauty, that very identity, with now the makeup tools and techniques that I want to bring to the table. Because I don't do all that. All the other things that you just mentioned, I don't credit myself. Honestly, that all comes from knowing how loved I am, and knowing that now I'm able to give that love to others. I'm able to see other people's situations through a different eye. other than with our own visual. Do you know, it's like, instead of seeing things through our own lens, it's seeing it through a different perspective, but something more positive, and just creating a bigger and much more positive impact in your own lives. And it begins with ourselves, it begins within, and it begins with knowing we are and how we identify ourselves. I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And I think the timing could not have been better, because obviously the impact of the pandemic, especially on women and moms in particular, has been so difficult. It's just been hard on them, being home all day and handling kids and homeschool and work and all of that. They hardly have time for themselves. And even if they do have time for makeup or whatever, it's really not enough. I think going within and enhancing and bringing out the beauty within is what's necessary now for all of us to stay strong and keep going. And with the program, the academy that you're offering, I love it, because it's so unique. I don't think there's anything like it out there. And the fact that you are talking about real issues and opening up our eyes to view things from a different perspective is what's really necessary, if anything, because we all get caught up into the way we see our world, and we think that's it, and we don't see any new opportunities and solutions. But with the minute you step outside and you're just like, wait a minute, number one, I'm not it's not all up to me, right? There's a greater power, there's God above me. Let me just relax a little bit, take a step back, and just have faith, and just relax and have faith in God, that God's going to help me. And the minute you pause and do that, and sort of put all the pressure that you're carrying on God, it just makes things easier. And what I would love to learn a little bit more is, how do you integrate? I'm so curious to know. I know you're one of your first programs is starting soon, so I'm excited to start and take that. But I'm curious to know what's going to be covered in that program, and what can people learn?
I'm so glad you asked. And this is really something that's building. And again, I can't give myself 100% credit, because it's when I pray about it and I'm like, God, how can I do this? You've put this on my heart, but how do I make it happen? And that's the amazing thing with God, is that He'll download information. He'll open doors and open situations for you to be able to do this. Because at the end of the day, if my greater purpose is to help others, it's not for my own selfish desires, and it's to love others, then if it's for the right reasons, I do believe that so many doors open up. And I've seen that in countless situations. But to answer your question, I'll make an analogy. So in order to build your makeup, or even a house, you have to build it on the right foundation. You have to have the right primer. You have to have the right foundation. You have to then build it with the proper contour and highlights, and all the things that we use, all the tools and techniques that we use to build a makeup makes for a makeup that's going to last all day, correct? Or whatever situation you're going to be in. If you're going to be in water, then you use certain products that are going to be waterproof. In that same way, in a house, when you're building a house, you're building it on the right foundation. If you build it on rubble, or if you build it on sand, that house is not going to withstand any storm. That house is going to fall apart. So there's certain protocols, certain products you use, certain tools you use, and certain measurements you go through to make a house withstand anything, an earthquake, whatever it may be. In that same way, if our identity is not built on the right thing, if our identity is built on our fame or our money or our marriage or our children, whatever it may be, the moment that falls apart, we fall apart. So we have to make sure, I want to make it so easy for people for women to understand how easy it is when we build our identity in our faith on the rock of Jesus, who's our cornerstone. When we build that with the right tools, with the right things, which is the word of God, when we continue to stay close to Him, we have now a faith that's unshakable, no matter what happens, no matter what life throws at us, no matter what goes through happens in our lives, we have this peace that somehow that's unexplainable, that's supernatural, that when you trust it, you also find that everything works out. So in that moment, when other people are stressing out, are depressed, are feeling lonely and hopeless, you have a hope because your hope is grounded on something that will not let you down. And I have testimonies that I'm going to be sharing that will blow your mind. Like, women, you will get inspired, because I can write a book with the amount of testimonies that I have, that how God's come through for me in ways that just will inspire you, encourage you, and know that you can do anything as long as God's on your side. Everything else will fall into place. Your marriage will fall into place. Your children will be in good hands. Your business, your work, you will just flow, and you will allow for things to happen. It could be a loss of a job. You'll still be so much at peace because you'll trust that God, who's already in control, is just closing that door momentarily for another door that's even better for you to open, that will open. So there's so much, because stress causes so much sickness, so causes so much. All this stuff comes from stress. And even you mentioned COVID. I had COVID. I mean, my mom and dad had COVID. They're in their 70s. They have a lot of underlying conditions. I was literally praying, trusting in God, praying over them, and praise God, we're all fine. So I believe that the stress that people go through, this fear, brings down our immune system and causes us to have so much more sickness and disease that we really otherwise would not have had to deal with.
I agree. I think that, and that's probably what's missing in our society more than ever nowadays, where people just, are under so much stress, and they forget that, hey, lean on God, pray a little bit, have some faith, just, what are you going to lose? Just have faith and go through the day, and don't get yourself sick with all the worries. And I think obviously there is a lot of, it's a little bit more complicated when people fall into that trap of being worried all the time. It's a little bit neurological, because the neurons connect, and it's a pathway that the brain sort of takes you.
Of course, because they connected to past experiences.
Exactly.
But you could still shift those neurons. You could shift those thought processes by now creating newer experiences, trusting on God.
And learning new things.
Exactly.
And that's
a
why
better way.
I'm excited about your academy, because it's really going to open up people's eyes to learn makeup from a whole different perspective.
Perspective.
Oh, it's just such a new way, and
I'm so excited.
It's not going to just make us look pretty and beautiful, but inside is so important, especially once you have kids. I have 2 teenage daughters, and for me, everything matters. The way I look at myself, the dresses I wear, and little comments. Like before, if I made a comment about an outfit and said, I don't like this, I didn't care as much as I do now, because I have 2 teenage daughters, soaking in everything that I do and I say, and I want to set a good example for them. But it's hard if you're not really happy and healthy and feeling beautiful within, right? And so we all have to work on it. We tend to work on the outside, but never on the inside. And definitely that's super important, I think.
Definitely. And kids don't listen to what we say. They watch what we do. They watch our actions. If we say one thing and do another, they see that, they know. And what kind of example we set is also setting them for how we set them up for failure, or we set them up for success. And truly, God's word is it's so true that when you test it, you see how many things are already in there that even atheists today follow. Where does it come from? The values that we have, it all comes from our Creator. It all comes from God. And the more we realize the original creator of those, the more we realize who we are, the more value we put ourselves. And then we want to, of course, you have 2 teenage daughters. You want to pass on that value to them, because you want them to have self-respect and self-love and see themselves in the image of their Creator, and see how amazing they are, how beautiful they are, and to value themselves, because when we don't have value and worth, we just allow so many different situations to affect us and control our days. And then it's just a downward spiral. But I'm totally just in full belief of, when you know the truth truly sets you free, and you're so free from what social media says, all these images that are not really representative of the truth. Yeah. And there's so many things out there that I feel like young girls allow to be compared with, and allow for them to be affected by in so many negative ways. So not only mothers, like mothers are one part of my heart, but for their children, of course, for themselves, but also teenage young girls that may not have a relationship with their parents, that I would love to be that person that could affect them in a positive way, that could maybe be that positive role model.
That was going to be my next question, because, you know, my daughters are 16 and 15, and obviously social media impacts them a lot, right? Like they see things and they're like, oh, I like what she's wearing, or I want to have her abs, or it's just a lot of, to me, nonsense, but to them, that's their world. That's the only world they've known, at least for the last year, especially. Yeah. They've got no social lives, and they're just stuck with social media. And as a parent, there's so much I can say and do, but at the end of the day, it's probably, sounding like a broken record to them, where they're like, oh, mom, here you go again, talking about, stuff, but you don't know what's going on in real world.
Exactly. Isn't that the main thing? Do you remember us telling that to our parents? Like, yeah, mom, but you don't understand. You're like another generation.
But they were. Our parents' generation they came from Armenia when we were teenagers, and then they expected us to behave just like we would have in Armenia. And then we're like, wait, but we're in America. People don't do these things. They don't wear these things, and they go to parties. Why wouldn't you let me? It was a lot of, I think we probably had it the worst. Our kids, I don't know, maybe.
But we did grow up here, even though some things are different, or a lot of things are different, but we still, the core is still there. The core things don't change. Just like how I said, how the social media with the makeup industry has changed, but there's still core things that we still have to be successful. In that same way, there have to be core values, no matter how we see ourselves, how we identify, for us to not be affected by those things. And where are we going to learn them from? From our parents.
Right.
Our parents are the first thing. If our parents don't teach us, school is going to teach us. And school has they have no regard for our children. It's mainly, it really isn't. Let's be honest. They don't care.
I know. So talking about social media, and I'm all about marketing. I would love to just dabble into a little bit about social media, and you mentioned something earlier, that a lot of your colleagues from your industry, especially the entertainment industry, never really evolved. They just felt comfortable being where they're at, getting contracted and working on shows or whatever, and not having to evolve with the new trends and using the newest social media tools and marketing techniques to really get out there and be online, right? Having an online presence, I think, is so important nowadays.
Very important.
How do you make time for that? I'm just curious, because
I'm going to be very honest. I've had to really struggle to find a good balance. Because as many of us know, like, we could get sucked into that social media, dark hole where next thing you know, you're on it for hours.
Yep.
So I've found that which I'm working on currently, that giving yourself a time limit and a specific time in the day that you will allow yourself to go on and be on point with it. Because the more we stay on point with what we decide to do, the more we have trust and self-respect. Because if we say, listen, I'm going to go on a diet, a day later, we just give up, then it's almost like you lose trust within yourself. You lose trust. So I would say that what I've been working hard with is just having, there's a word for it that's not coming to my mind right now, but just being, you can help me, jump in and help me.
Oh, so like just schedule it or
besides scheduling it is just to do what you say,
yes, accountable.
Yeah, accountable. Yeah. If you need to be accountable to yourself, and I know it's hard, but find someone, and you're that person. I feel like sometimes for me, it's like, Maria, keep me accountable. I need to do this. You need to find someone who you're going to keep accountable with each other. And I found that helps.
Yeah.
And just setting it so that you're trying to stay on track, and you'll get a little bit better and better each day. So there's always so many things out there that could help,
I just feel like for me, at least for my profession, like your profession, everything is visual. When you do your makeup, your clients, you have the before and after, like the before and after pictures can really help you create more brand awareness when you start sharing it with them. So for you, it's super important to have that, because that's just the way your industry works, right? Like you have to show your work through imagery or videos. For me as a marketer, well, I have to kind of mention both, because I own the marketing agency and then I own Roma Leaf. So as the owner of Global Fly, the marketing agency, it really doesn't help much. So for me to be active on social media when I'm targeting business to business, B2B, clients, my clients aren't on social media searching for an agency to help them grow. So for Global Fly, it doesn't necessarily help. But for Roma Leaf, I found that as the founder of Roma Leaf, the more I'm engaged, the more I'm involved, the more I'm in the content and the aesthetics and just the videos, the more people trust the brand. And it's so hard because it's so time consuming to create good content that you're comfortable with to put out there,
It's
so
definitely.
My other question is, are you ever going to teach a program just like hacks, right? Like quick hacks as to how we can look good for camera and do our thing and, do the story, whatever, and be done with it? Because at the end of the day, I feel like, especially our generation, we overthink it. And then we're like, wait, but it doesn't look good. The lighting is off. But the younger generation, they don't care. They're like, let's wing it. Let's make this happen, mom. Like it's so easy for them.
Yes, definitely. There's so many amazing apps out there, and there's easier ones than others, but pictures are a huge way that I get my clients as well. So it's very important not only that I post the pictures of my work, but that they look original. They don't look processed. They don't look over edited. Of course, you have to edit out little like imperfections in the skin or whatnot. But I've seen a lot of my clients come to me because they're like, I saw the video, I saw the photo. Now videos today can be edited too. It's funny. But you can tell the difference between something that's unedited, unfiltered, and between something that's super edited. So I definitely will. In fact, there's a course that I'm going to be teaching at the end of the month to actors about how to do self-tape and how to do makeup for self-tape that I'm going to be teaching live. So look out for that. I'll probably have it also after I teach it live. I'll probably have it online through possibly Kajabi. I'm not sure what I'll put it on, but it's definitely something that I feel many people can benefit from, whether it's beginning from lighting, the proper equipment to use, then the makeup, depending on your skin type and what you're trying to enhance and what you're trying to diminish, and what you want to come, how you want to come across on camera. And then of course, what apps that I use to post maybe certain things that will get attention, whether it's hashtags, specific hashtags or tagging or brands. I have brands that will send me products simply because I use the products on stories, and I show as I'm using it on the client, I tag the brand so they see me using it. So you may be in a different industry. It's just a matter of thinking, okay, how can I utilize something and like get two, I hate using this phrase, kill two birds with one stone, but it's, it is a saying, and it's like, I'm working, I'm making money, but I'm also using products and also filming myself and tagging those brands. So not only am I showing people, look, I'm working in my work, but the brands are seeing that I'm using their work. And now they're either calling me to pay me for an ad that's a little bit more in depth, or they're sending me products continuously to use because they're like, well, she does great work. She shows her work. She's consistently active. And this is great advertisement. So for the cost of this product and shipping that we're sending her, we're getting so much more in advertising. And because a lot of people that follow me will see what I'm using, and they see the consistency, they see how I'm using it and what I'm doing, and they go and purchase it. So it's a win-win for everybody.
It's basically influencer marketing, which I'm launching a course on to teach brands how to do, because that's
smart.
The most effective way of marketing nowadays. Everything else is, people aren't driving to listen to radio and Sirius XM. Podcast listenership increased, although it's super expensive. An average small business is not going to be able to have a budget to invest in podcast shows and advertise.
Right. Or the time.
Or the know-how. It's really hard. That's where an agency comes in, like ours. But I feel like that, like you said, the opportunities are endless, because here you are as a makeup artist, you are on a mission to help people bring out beauty, not just from, outside, but within, and just bring it out.
Yes. I don't want to just cover up beauty. I want to enhance the beauty that we already have.
Love that. That should be your slogan. But also, look at all the opportunities that you'll end up getting if you are a makeup artist and you're really sticking to what your mission is and what you value, and you stick with that. And then, like, as you build your audience online on whatever platforms you're using, you can eventually monetize from that. And then agencies like mine will come and offer you money and say, hey, partner with this brand and that brand. So, I mean, but going back to my initial question regarding really learning how to do makeup for Zoom, as simple as that. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, did I put too much blush on? Did I do my highlighting correctly? Like, it's really overwhelming. And I wish I had just a 5-step process that I could learn and implement each time, so that I don't waste time to even think about it, let alone to pause and test, and redo and clean and start all over again. So I'm super excited about that. And maybe before we end the call, you can tell people where they can learn more about you and the courses and the program. But obviously we'll have the links to all of your contacts and social media on our website, as well as SoCal Armenians website. But I guess I know where we have a little bit more time left. What I would love to also talk about a little bit is, how has it been to navigate through the business side of things as a creative person? Like I'm all about business and technology. So for me, creativity is there, but creativity comes in almost always in a way where it's data driven and it's very analytical. So the way my brain works is very, I'll come up with a lot of creative ideas, but then I'll pause and say, all right, now I need data to support and help me make a decision. I'm just curious to know, as a creative person like yourself, how do you make decisions? And I know you mentioned that you pray, but I want you to get a little deeper into that, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners are creative people, and they're probably struggling right now trying to figure out how to pivot or start a new career, or how to make a decision simply as creative beings. So do you have any advice on that?
Making decisions as far as what again? I'm so sorry.
Making decisions, like when you're a creative person, you come up with so many creative ideas. How do you decide which to take and turn it into a business that can support you and your family?
Oh, got it. You know what? I would say, because there's so many things even now, before I decided to do the academy, there were so many things on my mind. Like, do I do a product line? Do I do this? Do I have a clothing line, or I want to do jewelry, or I want to do public speaking? There's so many things but I would say what I found in those last few months of doing challenges and doing like just learning, is that besides obviously praying at what gives you peace, it's pick one that you are kind of happy about, that you would do even regardless of getting paid. That if you had all the money in the world, what would you want to do? Because you have money, you're not getting paid. What would you do on your spare time? What would you want to do? What makes you happy? What excites you? So ask yourself those questions. And then I believe that the first couple of things that pop up in your mind are probably the ones you need to focus on. And from there, you can go and give yourself a timeline. Well, first, which one do I want to do? What do I want to do in 5 years? Where do I want to get from this to that? And then backtrack. What is it going to take? So then the decisions become easier, because I think what overwhelms us is the thought process of, I want to do this, but what used to overwhelm me was, but how do I get there? Then the thought of doing this and that stressed me out to the point where I gave up. So making the decisions of, okay, I'm going to make the decision, but I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to find out where I want to be, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, and then let's go back and backtrack and start from the first thing, because what's a journey of 1,000 miles begin? One step. Is doing it one step at a time, and just doing that thing that you would love to do regardless whether you would get paid, and the money will just be a bonus at the end of the day. That would be, because you could do something for me, but I believe if it's just for the money, you're going to become so, you're going to be unhappy. It's not going to be something that's going to give you joy. It's not going to be, do the thing that gives you joy, and the money will flow.
I love that because that kind of goes back to my own journey with wanting to start a podcast and have a radio show. I wanted this since I was obsessed with radio shows since I was like 12 years old. I would literally listen to Coast to Coast on 6:40 a.m. every night before going to bed. Like I could not sleep without listening to a radio show. But it was always so difficult, and it just seemed so hard to start. And then, 12 years ago, I was like, I'm going to start my own podcast show. And then every year there was an excuse. Every year I had different projects I was focusing on. And then this year, I think you and I had a conversation about this too, because we were both sort of going through the same things, questioning our, how are we fulfilling our mission in this world? This time we have is so precious, and it's here now, and none of us know how long we have it. Are we really maximizing it? Are we really accomplishing all the goals and the dreams that we've had? And that's when I was like, you know what? I know I have two companies, and having a radio show and a podcast show is going to add so much on my plate right now. But it's what I love. I get so excited when I have to interview people like you and learn so much from. For me, it's like a learning journey rather than, I don't look at it like, oh, it's work and I have to put the time into it. I look at it like I'm getting inspired. I'm learning things.
I want to add something to that, and my apologies if I cut you off, but there's a certain thing that you have a passion for, that you're created for. So we can't use a physical thing that's meant for one thing and use it for something else. For example, you can't use a fork as a spoon and vice versa. So you were created with a purpose, with a plan. So when you know what that plan and your purpose is, that because you were already created with those gifts, if you don't use your gifts the way that you were created for, it's not going to feel natural.
Yep.
So when you are used, and to find those gifts and find those purposes, is to again find your identity. When you find those and do what you were created for, things flow, things seem so natural because That's what you were created to do. Those are the gifts you have. So why not use the natural gifts you have and for a higher purpose, for a bigger purpose, and to help and help people. So I believe you're also on the right track, and you're amazing.
Thank you.
I know you're going to be successful, and
thank you, Christine. If I have guests like you, hopefully can help inspire my listeners, I think it will be a success. But
you will.
I want to end our interview with how people can get a hold of you, where they can learn more about the program, the academy, and the courses. If you can share.
Of course, probably my Instagram is the best place to go to. Makeup with Lusine, and Lusine, and through my link tree. Through the link tree, they can go to my the website. They could sign up for the academy. They can go. I have plenty of things on there to book me. Even I still do makeup, especially bridal. I love my bridal clients. I know that was something you were asking me about earlier, but it's somewhere that they can go. And I'm also working on building the Faithful Beauty Academy. By the way, beauty is spelled with an E. I just found that wanted to be a little different, but Faithful Beauty Academy, and there'll be information. There's just so much, but I want to make it simple. So Makeup with Lusine, Instagram, and the links will all be in my link tree.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. You're such an inspiration. I love your work. I can't wait to join your program, and I honestly, you're a gift from God. So thank you, and hope to have you on the show.
Likewise. Thank you for having me. I love you so much.
Have a blessed
day. Bye, honey.